Imagine a city, its buildings ablaze, the sky turning orange with the fury of the flames. This was Chicago on the night of October 8, 1871. The Great Chicago Fire, as it would later be known, started innocently enough. A small flame, flickering in a barn on DeKoven Street, was all it took. But this was no ordinary night. The city was dry, parched from a long summer and starved of rain. The wooden buildings that sprawled across the city were like kindling, waiting for a spark. And that spark came, setting off a chain reaction that would change the face of Chicago forever. The fire spread with an alarming speed. The wind carried the flames from building to building, each one catching fire as though it were paper. Firefighters, already exhausted from fighting a large fire the day before, were stretched beyond their limits. They could only watch in horror as the city they loved was consumed by the flames. The damage was catastrophic. Over 17,000 buildings were destroyed. Nearly one-third of the city's population, close to 100,000 people, were left homeless. The bustling city that had been a symbol of America's growth and prosperity was reduced to smoldering ruins in just 2 short days. The fire was relentless. It tore through businesses, homes, and even schools. The world watched in shock as the flames danced across the city skyline, turning the night into a terrifying spectacle of light and shadow. The once thriving city was transformed into a fiery hellscape, a sight that would be etched into the memory of those who witnessed it. But amidst the devastation, there was hope. The people of Chicago, though battered and bruised, were not broken. They looked upon the ashes of their city, and they vowed to rebuild. They would not let the fire define them. Instead, they would rise from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than ever before. In just 2 days, the fire had reduced much of the once thriving city to ashes. But don't forget to like and subscribe as we delve into how the city rose again from these ashes. But what started this devastating fire? Let's look at the theories that historians have put forth. One of the most popular theories points a finger at the O'Leary family, more specifically, their cow. As the story goes, on that fateful night, Mrs. O'Leary was in her barn milking her cow. The cow, possibly startled or just plain ornery, kicked over a lantern, thus igniting a fire that would ravage the city. This theory, while colorful and enduring, has been widely discredited. In fact, the Chicago City Council exonerated the O'Leary family and their infamous cow in 1997, over a century after the fire. Another theory, one with a bit more scientific flair, suggests that a comet might have been the culprit. Some believe that fragments of Biela's comet, which was passing by Earth around that time, could have sparked the fire. These comet fragments, known as fireballs, were reportedly seen in the sky over the Midwest on the night of the fire. This theory, while fascinating, has its detractors. Skeptics argue that a comet's fragments would not have been hot enough by the time they reached Chicago to ignite a fire. Other theories suggest human error or even deliberate arson. But despite these numerous theories and intense historical scrutiny, the true cause of the Great Chicago Fire remains a mystery. It's a puzzle piece lost in the ashes of history, a question mark that adds to the intrigue of this monumental event. What we do know, however, is that the fire spread rapidly due to a combination of factors. The city was experiencing a drought, and most of its buildings were made of wood. The winds that night also helped carry the flames, turning a small fire into an unstoppable inferno. While we may never know the true cause of the fire, its impact on Chicago was undeniable. The Great Chicago Fire was not just a destructive force, but a catalyst for change, a spark that would ignite a city's rebirth from its own ashes. It's a story of resilience, of a city that refused to be defined by disaster, a tale that continues to captivate us even today. With the city in ruins, the people of Chicago faced a daunting task, rebuilding their lives and their city. The devastation was immense, a scene of charred remnants where once stood a bustling metropolis. Yet in the face of adversity, the spirit of Chicago was not dampened. The rebuilding efforts were a testament to the indomitable spirit of the city's inhabitants. People from all walks of life rolled up their sleeves and worked hand in hand, restoring their city piece by piece, brick by brick. They were not alone in this Herculean task. Assistance poured in from across the nation and beyond the seas. Cities from near and far sent aid, from supplies to manpower, while countries from around the globe extended their helping hands. Yet the city's reconstruction was not merely about restoring what was lost. It was a chance to learn, to grow, to innovate. the city's leaders recognized the need to prevent such a disaster from happening again. They analyzed the fire's causes and effects, and from this analysis, new building regulations were born. The wooden buildings that had once dominated Chicago's skyline were replaced with fire-resistant materials like stone, brick, and steel. The city was not just rebuilt, it was reborn, safer and stronger than before. This spirit of resilience shone brightly in the people of Chicago. They faced the devastation not with despair, but with determination. They saw not an end, but a beginning. A chance to build a city that was not just a replica of the past, but a beacon of the future. Their courage and resolve were the true foundations upon which the new Chicago was built. The city was down, but not out. The ashes became the fertile ground from which a stronger, more resilient Chicago would rise. The Great Chicago Fire was a tragedy, yes, but from its ashes came a story of rebirth, of resilience, and of a city that refused to surrender to adversity. And if you're enjoying this journey through history, remember to like and subscribe. As Chicago rebuilt, it began to transform into the city we know today. After the flames had been extinguished and the smoke had cleared, a new era of architectural innovation dawned upon the Windy City. The Great Fire, though devastating, provided an unexpected opportunity for architects and builders. The city's burnt landscape became a canvas for a fresh start, a chance to reimagine urban living. In the aftermath of the fire, the city planners, architects, and engineers saw the potential for a new kind of building that would redefine the city's skyline, the skyscraper. The advent of steel frame construction made it possible to erect buildings that towered over the city, reaching heights previously unimaginable. This was a groundbreaking development in the world of architecture, a revolution sparked by the ashes of a devastating catastrophe. Chicago's rebirth was not just about bricks and mortar. It was about the spirit of a city that refused to be defeated, a city that rose from the ashes with a renewed sense of purpose and resilience. This spirit was on full display during the World's Columbian Exposition of 1893, held in Chicago to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the New World. The exposition was a grand spectacle, attracting millions of visitors from around the world. It showcased the city's recovery, its innovative architecture, and its place as a burgeoning metropolis. The White City, as the exposition grounds were known, was a testament to Chicago's rebirth and a symbol of its resilience. The rebirth of Chicago was more than just a physical transformation. It was an era of innovation and progress, a time when the city not only rebuilt its structures but also redefined its identity. The city's recovery from the Great Fire became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people. From the ashes of the fire, a new Chicago was born, stronger and more beautiful than ever. The Great Chicago Fire left an indelible mark on the city's history. This catastrophic event, though devastating, paved the way for significant changes in fire safety regulations and urban planning, changes that would not only reshape Chicago but also influence cities around the globe. In the aftermath of the fire, Chicagoans were faced with a cityscape that was almost entirely reduced to ash and rubble. Yet amid the devastation, a spirit of resilience emerged. The city took this opportunity to rethink and rebuild, leading to a new era of urban planning. The new Chicago was designed with wider streets, fireproof buildings, and a more efficient sewage system. This innovative approach to city planning set a precedent, influencing urban development worldwide. The fire also led to a revolution in fire safety regulations. Prior to the fire, Chicago's buildings were constructed primarily of wood, a material that contributed to the rapid spread of the flames. After the fire, stringent building codes were implemented. These codes mandated the use of fire-resistant materials and the installation of fire safety equipment in all new buildings. These regulations, born out of the Great Chicago Fire, are now fundamental aspects of fire safety laws across the United States and beyond. Each year, the city of Chicago commemorates the Great Fire. The annual event serves as a poignant reminder of the city's past and its remarkable ability to rise from the ashes. It's an opportunity to reflect on the lessons learned and the progress made since that fateful night in October 1871. The Great Chicago Fire serves as a reminder of the city's resilience and its ability to rise from the ashes. And if you found this deep dive into history interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more fascinating stories.